Hi, this is Tim of the 1916 Company. Welcome and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email us, Team Mosso at the1916company.com for purchase pricing and availability questions concerning this watch. Today we're discussing a Rolex Certified Pre-Owned Oyster Perpetual Cosmograph Daytona. This is the Rolex Daytona reference 116578 SACO. And it's a fascinating watch because it's the longtime running mate of a model that's probably better known, but just as flamboyant. That sister model is the 116598 SACO Leopard, and you already have a mental picture if you know your modern Rolex history. So if that's the Leopard, perhaps this one, all in yellow gold with orange sapphire bezel, maybe this is the lion. You can see the lion's fur, and here's the lion's mane. So we've got the lion and the leopard with the lion on deck. Big difference right here is a full bracelet, so it's going to wear differently. 40 millimeters in diameter. I measure it quite svelte, 12.1 millimeters thick, and it's 46.2 millimeters lug tip to lug tip if we're measuring the case. Then if you measure the end links, 50.2 from side to side with a 20 millimeter spacing between the lugs. So that's 50.2, that's the total distance across the wrist. Now the bracelet does counterbalance the watch, so it adds a lot of weight. And also if you like to wear your watch loose, having a bracelet with a clasp, it's like the keel of a sailboat. It prevents the watch from hula hooping or rolling over on your wrist. So a loose watch with a full bracelet is easier to wear than a loose watch on a strap. And you can see that on my 16 centimeter circumference wrist, it fits quite nicely. This is a pretty compact watch as things go. It's not nearly as big as a 40 millimeter GMT or Submariner or Sea Dweller. So I would say this on the bracelet probably fits on a wrist as small as 14 centimeter circumference, and it's a good look. I've even seen women with smaller wrists than that wear this quite successfully. It is fairly thin. 12.1 is quite slender. It has a sloped bezel. It will slide underneath the cuff. Take a look down the barrel. You can see that the lugs are nowhere near the edge of my wrist. Over the top, which tends to exaggerate the width of the watch, the lugs are still not over the edge of my wrist. Bracelet, ornate. Of course, the Daytona is an upscale model, and this is a flagship among Daytonas. So we have a conforming end link, cleanly made it to the case. It's a little bit of a taper, and the bracelet links down toward the clasp. Outer faces are polished. Center links are polished. Shoulder links are satinated. Removable links, you can see they are fixed by screws. There's also a little intermediate sized link in there. And then Easy Link, which is a 5 millimeter snap in, snap out, tool-free adjustment. Look inside the clasp. These watches have a mind of their own sometimes. Inside the clasp, you can see there are 3 divots with little tracks leading in, and those 3 divots are anchoring points for the spring bar, so you can move the spring bar inside of the clasp using your strap tool to change the anchoring point of the bracelet and then change the fit as a result. We have a double locking system. You can see the spring-loaded articulated beak and hook. So you see how that snaps shut? That is a lock. That will hold it shut. The clamshell is just a sure-tight backup, so a double locking Oyster clasp. You can see how there's a little kerf underneath the 5-point coronet, so you can pull the clamshell open. It's even easy to do with gloves. Straight through polish, flanks are polished. There's a flanking satin finish here. Going back to the watch itself, you can see that the Daytona has a relatively distinctive case profile. In some ways, it's a little bit like a Yachtmaster, but a Yachtmaster has flatted feet, if you will, underneath the tips of the lugs, whereas this comes to a clean, tapered end. Polished, compound curved, very attractive. The outer bezel is also polished. We have screw-down crowns, and you can see this is a trip lock in gold because it's 3 dots, and the center one is the largest. 100-meter water resistance. The bezel features sapphires that are set by hand. So if you want a handmade watch and you want a Rolex, in the modern era, that generally means something that's gone through the Atelier factory restoration program, or it's going to be a watch with gem setting because the gem setting is done manually. It's the part of Rolex's production process that looks most like it would have looked 50 to 150 years ago. There is one automated process inherent in that, though, and it's the scanning of the gems to make sure that the color and the clarity is absolutely matched, because you can't have a gradient with this orange sapphire bezel. It's not like the rainbow. These have to all be exactly the same or it's not going to look right. It's not going to look balanced. You can see that they are baguette cuts and that they are faceted and that it's an invisible setting. You can see how little gold pincers are used to hold the brilliant cut diamonds on the indices on the dial. These have no visible means of support. Basically, the inner bezel and the outer bezel hold them like a track. And then we have the dial itself, which is mother of pearl. But we also have these solid gold indices with brilliant cut diamonds. ingredients. So it's diamonds, mother of pearl, gold, and sapphire. This is a very rich dessert. Taking a quick look, you can see the indices, the hands, the Rolex coronet, they're all yellow golds. They will not tarnish or oxidize with time. You can see we have running seconds down at 60. That's how you always know it's an in-house caliber Daytona in the modern era. We'll do a quick lume shot just so you can see that we do have luminescent hands. This is a scrambled serial era with a chromolite blue lume. That's Rolex's in-house lume. A couple things to note about the chronograph. First, it is a column wheel action, which means the function selector is very crisp. It sounds good, it feels good. Second, vertical clutch, which means when you engage the chrono, there's no jump or stagger to the seconds hand. And if you want to leave it running full time, you can do that with no additional wear, tear, or hazard. Bidirectional winding with a rotor on a ball bearing support. It's a 72-hour power reserve, 4 hertz beat. Right? Let me show you the case back. People always ask, not much to see here, but it is like having a gold dollar on the back of your watch in terms of weight. The watch is a superlative chronometer, which means it is going to be something that is guaranteed to run no worse than -2 + 2 seconds from the factory. Of course, it's also Rolex Certified Pre-Owned, which means a whole list of goodies are assured when you take delivery. More on that at the end of the video. The movement features the hacking function, so if you pull the crown out, I'll demonstrate how this works practically speaking. It'll stop everything, the chronograph, the time. It'll stop the running seconds so you can synchronize the watch to a reference time. A superlative chronometer, by the way, does meet the COSC standards first before being superlative chronometer certified. The watch has a full balance bridge and a free sprung balance, which makes for a very robust and solid shock-resistant platform. It has an overcoil hairspring that is blue oxidized and made of niobium zirconium. That alloy is highly anti-magnetic. Rolex calls it Parachrome Blue. And then it is an overcoil profile, Breguet overcoil hairspring, because in any position that will breathe concentrically and gravity will not have a big impact on the timing of the watch. 44 jewels, and it is one of the most heavily jeweled and most complex Rolex movements. This movement family debuted back in 2000 when it became the first ever Rolex Daytona with a fully in-house caliber. And Rolex does manufacture all of those parts right down to the lubricants used in the movement. So there's a lot to love. And if you love this watch, reach out to Team Mosso at the1916company.com for purchase and pricing details. Rolex Certified Pre-Owned watches are backed and authenticated by Rolex. Should any reconditioning be necessary, it will be to a Rolex certified standard, and any parts invested Rolex factory original. Should the initial retail box, paper, and accessory set still accompany the watch, it will be included with the sale. But no matter what, a certified pre-owned box and paper set starts with an outer box, a leatherette travel pouch with suede lining, a warranty card that embodies the 2-year globally valid Rolex-backed warranty. Note this is not a retail warranty, but backed by Rolex and actionable at any of its authorized points of sales and service. A leatherette wallet includes the warranty terms and conditions manual. A holographic hang tag marks this as a certified pre-owned Rolex watch, and a manual details Rolex's values as a company, the certified pre-owned program, care, feeding, service, and use of your Rolex, locations of points of sales and service, and details of Rolex.com. Rolex certified pre-owned watches are backed only by Rolex.